Qs were up, did make new highs. Now back at the lows, kind of basing down here, down 0.27, and then the SPY down 0.17. Like I said, narrow range day, kind of an inside day after yesterday's trend day in the market. See this? Trend day. Okay, kind of a pause here. Um, and so with that, that doesn't really give us a chance to change our bullish bias. Market kind of basing more towards the bottom. There is potential for a breakout failure, but we won't have it on the daily until tomorrow. Okay, so based on whatever today's low is, underneath today's low, we can start to anticipate a breakout no follow through. We don't know if it'll be a breakout failure until we get below the support, below the base that it broke out from. Okay, but if we start with getting a breakout, no follow through, we can start to look for an hourly trend change. Okay, so underneath today's low, we're going to switch to neutral. So tomorrow we break below today's low, we're going to switch to neutral. And then we'll have to see if it turns into a breakout failure, and then we'll be able to play the next sell setup or breakdown and have a bearish bias on the Qs and SPY. So a similar event occurred last time. We had a breakout. I believe it was the FOMC saying that they were going to keep rates the same. We had something similar then in here. Okay. We had a breakout. A gap the next day came in and then broke the base, right? And so during these few days, right, we switched to a bearish bias. That means rallies are shortable. Rallies are shortable, right? I guess it was all of like 2 days, 3 days. And then we got this higher low here. And then I said over this last lower high, then we're going to have to lose the bearish bias and go back to a bullish bias, right? And so we'll see if that's what we get. The first thing that we're going to need to see is this hourly trend change. So the hourly is going to need to break down. What we have right now on the hourly looks like this. So this could just set up a buy setup and then run back up to the highs. And then the daily, we need to see a breakout failure or breakout no follow through first. See breakout, and then it gave us the no follow through and the failure kind of in the same day here. Well, really the breakdown occurred the next day, right? And then the hourly went into a downtrend. Okay, so we're still early for switching out of the bullish bias. Underneath today's low, we'll switch to neutral. Okay, and then we'll look for what the hourly wants to do next. So the hourly, could break down a little bit, base, and then go back up. Of course, if this ends up being a breakout failure, the top will be in, but I think it's a little bit early to say. Okay, so yeah, I'm not going to be, the goal is not necessarily to guess the top, right? It's just to read the market and read it objectively. Okay, so trying to constantly guess the top is a good way to kind of frustrate yourself and just taking wild guesses. So based on what we have here, though, we're going to switch to neutral if we get more follow through to the downside tomorrow, and then we'll wait for the next setup, see how much follow through that gets to switch to a bearish bias if it turns to that. Okay, but the focus, less so about the market, going to be about the individual names. We have a lot reporting tonight and tomorrow morning, and I think that's good. And what we've seen today I thought was pretty encouraging. If you are a trend trader, this is what you're looking for, and this is kind of what you live for. So this kind of stuff, and we got a lot of this stuff, not just to the downside, but to the upside as well, right? Continuing the trend slab. The burl was given as an idea in the afternoon. The T, I gave you numbers on it this morning as I was doing a sell setup here. So the T did a sell setup right here, okay, under 3109 with a stop at 27.25. So I gave it a few cents to 25 there. And so it was about a 17-cent stop and worked for 60 cents, 60 plus cents, which was much beyond my expectation. I actually covered it once it made new lows, thinking that, it's probably not going to move much there because it's AT&T, their support to the left, and I covered it way too early. But, it's encouraging to see that we're getting nice follow through. So if you were trailing this as an all day hold, you're out there over 65, 30.65 as the hourly breaks. IRBT, another one, pretty spready in the morning. I do know some people who took it, and this again, nice little sell sit up there. Another one that you could have held all day if you were just trailing on the hourly here. And then RES, which was a call from Sammy, very, very well, or worked really, really well here as it broke down here. So breakdown, nice follow through. I think some people also scalped it on these sell setups to play back to the lows. But if you just trailed it on the hourly, you'd be in it until the very close. So I thought it was pretty encouraging to see all of this movement and all of this kind of follow through and continuation that we got today. That kind of suggests that some of the maybe slower, kind of more sideways price action that we've gotten the last couple weeks is kind of giving way to the earnings movers, and we've got some nice movement going on. So hopefully you did well today. If not, I think definitely be ready to go tomorrow and be focused, because there's going to be a lot to look at. So there's going to be a lot of gaps. So the good thing is, about if you're in the room, we narrow down the favorites. Usually I would say on average there's 3 to 5. And then on a day like tomorrow where we have a lot of gaps, we might have like 7 or 8 favorites. And then we'll give you the numbers of the entry, the exit, and the targets. And so if you know me, I do like to hold runners as much as I can and just let them go as far as they can. Because a lot of times what's happening on these gap downs is that people are kind of in shock. And also some of the kind of fundamental players have to react to this disappointing earnings or whatever the case was. Don't really care what the numbers was. I just want to know that people are all bearish on the numbers, right? So that you get this kind of gap. So that all the people who have been in it and held it over the last couple months are seeing that position go negative. Anybody who got it maybe at the beginning of the year is looking at their profits shrink rapidly. So you have a lot of people who have business that they need to do when you get these kind of gap downs. And all of these that I showed you, I know I showed you the hourly, but all of them were pro gaps, okay? So all were to be played in the direction of the gap, right? I liked what I saw today. I hope it continues. Pretty good stuff, and we'll see what we get. Like I said, earnings season I think is just about getting to the peak. So it's time to do some trading. Okay, so I hope you did well today. If not, we'll be back at it tomorrow, and we'll have plenty of trading over the next couple weeks to go over. So we'll see what the market brings us tomorrow, and I will talk to you then. All right, have a great evening.